this is a presentation that's a little bit different for me, because normally I just look after the portal and I talk a lot about the new Pure portal and I talk about fingerprints. But because we've been getting so many questions about how the portal is responding to the challenges from AI bots, how are we standing up against the amount of attention we're getting from the LLM bots and so on, I thought that it would be nice to actually dive deeper into the subject, do some more research, and save you the time of answering the questions that are on a lot of people's minds. So I thought that we could start with just a quick overview of what are the key challenges of the modern internet. So who is out there, what are these bots doing, why are they coming to us, to kind of give you a clearer view of why this is a challenge, why this is a problem, and why it's not going to go away. And then go through the frequently asked questions. So things that we hear from customers, we hear in conversations between customers, and also it's actually in the industry quite a hot topic. And then a conversation, at the end of our conversation, I thought it would be good to talk about kind of how are we navigating this choppy waters, what can we do, what can we prepare for, and what can we think about when we're thinking how to optimally navigate in this landscape. So basically, who's out there? AI bots are growing. They are a growing share on the web traffic. And it looks like they make up to 80% of the volume. Almost every week there is like a new report around this. Some report that it's 50% of the volume, some that it's 80%, some are kind of getting into panicky mode about 90%, but realistically it's a very high percentage. And these bots are not necessarily malicious. They come in to get the data, to get the latest information, but because they come in often, again and again and again, they create something that looks very much like a DDoS attack, even though they are not doing this maliciously. I'd like to highlight that this is something that has been seen kind of in the past several months, and the change is very rapid. So that bot behavior is continuously evolving. We don't know at this point if it's going to get worse or it's going to start to get better, but because this is such a rapidly evolving industry, well, we're going to wait and see, so to say. But the concern is very real. There are different types of bots. Some are crawlers who are just going through the internet and kind of they can be bringing data for the LLMs to learn, or they can be just getting new information. And there are also fetchers. So when you go to ChatGPT and ask it something as a question, it brings you back links. So that means that the bot has come out and come back and brought you that link. And of course, there's another concern apart from managing those loads, and that's concern over the legal use of data. How do you make sure that your data is being used in the way that you allow it to be used? So apart from all of these kind of more moral questions, this also brings a cost. So obviously, increasing traffic loads means that it costs stability issues. There was a recent COAR survey in April 2025, and the results came back with the open access repositories devoting on average 10% of a full-time employee. So you can imagine the cost of that over the years. To just protect and work to make sure that the service is working stably and counteract disruptions. Some report 20% or more. So again, will we see this figure grow? We don't know yet, but for now it doesn't look like it's going to come down anytime soon, because we see a lot of traffic spikes and they can overload the system quite easily. So if we look at a large portal, we know that per day we get 1 to 3.5 million requests. So we have Cloudflare, which is like a general protective umbrella software that filters out most of that traffic. But even with that, a large portal is going to get 200,000 visits from bots. And this, again, not necessarily malicious, but it can be quite a lot, and spikes can kind of put us out of balance. So that brings us to a challenge. We want to make sure that we block malicious bots, we don't allow bots to kind of overpower our infrastructure, and most importantly, we don't block human users. So I think all of you have had this experience of this, are you a robot? And you're just sitting there thinking like, how do I prove to you? Already clicked everything. Yeah, so that's something that is seen worldwide, not just in the pure portals. So could AI chatbots add traffic or take it away from the portal? So again, this is not just a question for our portals, it's a question that has been asked by pretty much anyone who has a website. In fact, The Economist in their July issue this year ran a really helpful chart. If you take a look, the dark blue is the science publication, so very much in our niche. I'd like to highlight, yeah, this is quite a steep decline, but again, it's not such a big one if you take into account that the scale is like from 100 to 85. So it's noticeable, but it's not catastrophic. So I think we need to kind of also not follow the panicky articles in that sense. So interestingly, the AI chatbots, their referral traffic is still quite small, but it's a growing share overall of traffic just because there is a growing share of users who are using engines like ChatGPT to search instead of Google. We know that ChatGPT is the biggest traffic referral, and we also know from Google's own publications that their AI summary significantly impacts the number of people who click through. So on an average search, you will have 15% of searchers click through to one of the links. If there is an AI summary present, it falls down to only 8. So quite a big decline. However, what I'd like to point out is that pure portals actually have good potential to perform well both on traditional search engine and on GenAI referrals. Because so the content of most pure portals is something that doesn't get out of date very quickly. It's person profiles, organization profiles, publications, projects, something that lives there for a while. And that something is very valuable for both the search engines and GenAI. And this can drive referrals. So I thought I'd make a little experiment of how do we see this searches performing. So I searched on a very generic topic, what is antimicrobial resistance? And you can see straight away I get that AI summary, but I also get the links underneath. So there might be a link to, say, an organization who deals with that subject further down, but AI summary is my first one. However, when I search for a specific title for a specific article, straight away I get the link to that article, so it could be a portal link, and then further down I get the AI summary. So you can see that the portal has a good fighting chance. And then just for the fun of it, I thought, okay, we know that Google is much better at like the latest news. So when I was putting this presentation together, the latest Taylor Swift album just came out, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I get an AI summary for that. And when I put it in, it didn't have an AI summary. So one day later, still no AI summary. I'm like 99% sure if you Google it now, there will be an AI summary about that. So, but what I'm saying is like, we are not the latest news. We shouldn't be worried about the GenAI taking away from that, because the information that sits on the portal, it's valuable for both of sources. And essentially, it doesn't really matter where those users are coming from, as long as we're getting those referrals. So another question that often gets asked is, let's say you decide to ban AI crawlers from your portal. Let's say you're successful in that, which isn't a separate question. Will it impact your search ranking? So officially, Google and other search engines say that no, they don't penalize you. As long as you allow their search bots to come in and index your site, everything is fine. Nobody's going to penalize you for banning their LLM bots. However, if we think about kind of the bigger picture in the longer term, because more users are going to tools like ChatGPT instead of Google, then those referrals are not coming to your website because you said LLM don't come into my portal to get data. So that's something to bear in mind. You will not see a big drop straight away, but in the longer term, that could be a significant impact, especially if we see a continuing rise of people who go to search with ChatGPT rather than, say, with Google or other search engines. Okay. Do bots currently refer to portals in their source links? Yes, they do. Whether they respect robots.txt or not, again, that's a very quickly, rapidly changing landscape. We know that not all chatbots are respective of that. We know that ChatGPT is a known offender. Whether it's still the case, you can only find out by testing yourself, because again, these things can change very, very quickly. Another interesting thing is, do search engines actually penalize and GenAI penalize or prioritize pages with AI-generated content? So again, official stance is that they don't make any difference. As long as the content is information-rich, structured, they'll take it. In July this year, the end of July, they published a very interesting article where they took 100 research, peer-reviewed research articles. They took, I think, film reviews and restaurant reviews or recommendations, something like that. And then they tested whether the AI model will pick the description to use as the basis for its training, generated by a human or by AI. And there was a significant AI basis, so AI-generated extracts were preferred. So I think that is definitely food for thought. It's a very interesting article, so I posted the image with the title there. Take a look. But I think what it tells us is that it's better to have an AI description than no description at all, because it will be taken in. I don't think it's always beneficial to substitute human content by AI content, but maybe next time it's a robot standing in front of you here, so we'll see. So I think all of this leads us to the conclusion that GenAI bots are here to stay. So we need to work to manage their impact, to minimize disruption, to manage who we allow in, and of course to optimize not just for traditional search engine optimization, but also for GenAI chatbots. And obviously we need to be mindful of the impact of your own bots if you're creating them. So what tools do we provide for you to manage which bots are coming into the portal? So first of all, we have Cloudflare. This is a well-known provider. It's used all across Elsevier, and it basically filters out malicious bots. It has a list of verified bots, which it keeps updating. It's a public list. You can quickly look it up. And I know that it keeps being updated. Last time I checked, there were around just under 300 verified bots in there. We also have robots.txt and TDM rep. So robots.txt is basically an instruction for bots, what they can do, what they can't do on your portal. And TDM rep is specifically, it's driven by the latest EU legislation. That's the text data mining. So it specifically tells bots, are you here to do text data mining? This is what you're allowed to do. This is what you're not allowed to do. Both robots.txt and TDM rep are as per your preferences, so they can be configured by portal. You can't do that yourself as an administrator. You will need to reach out for support, just because these settings can be quite fiddly, and it's easier if you are doing this in collaboration with somebody from Elsevier who can support you, give you a bit more information, what are your options, and then decide and set up in a way that you prefer. Okay, so a few things that I have seen recommended across a range of articles which talk about optimizing both for traditional search engine optimization and GenAI referrals. So structured, accessible, and fact-dense text is extremely important. So GenAI basically scans for passages that can be lifted and reused straight away in their summary. So if you write something that's quite condensed, but is unique text and is very useful and provides new information, that has very good chances of being promoted both by search engines and by LLM models. Another interesting thing that I realized is that major AI chatbots really struggle to identify expertise from context. So let's imagine we have a researcher. They've been in the industry for 30 years. They have like 1 billion articles, but they looked at Pure and said, you know what, I just can't be bothered writing up a summary of my research interests, and they left it at that. And then you have an eager PhD student who has one article published, but they really put in the time. They have described their research interests, like what they're really specialized in. Because LLMs are driven by text, they will latch on the text that is there on the page. So that professor might be found, might not be found, but that PhD student definitely is going to be found because they provided a lot of text, and that's what's driving that. So I think in sum with that, especially as I know that many institutions are kind of struggling to get their researchers to populate description, you might give them a hint, look, it's better if you ask ChatGPT or whatever other engine you are using to write up your description and edit it and paste it. That will save you time, but that will also be good enough. It's better than nothing. So that might be a shortcut that might be valuable, because if you leave it blank, the likelihood of being found kind of diminishes. Okay, yeah, so we talked about the structural factual information, and that's kind of the main takeaway, one of the main takeaways. And of course, we as Elsevier, we continue to monitor this landscape. It's, again, rapidly changing, so this is a field that's interesting to watch and sometimes a little scary, and we're also working to implement the best practices and help you navigate in this changing environment. So that was actually my last slide.